You know, every day, millions of us head out to our jobs, and we just assume we're going to be safe. But have you ever stopped to think about what really keeps us safe? Is it just a bunch of rules in a book, a government inspector who shows up once in a while? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into the systems that are designed to protect us on the job, and then we're going to explore a really powerful idea that goes way beyond any official rulebook.
So I want to start with just a number, 7,036. Just look at it for a second. What do you think that represents? Maybe the number of new safety rules written last year? The average cost of an accident? Just hold that thought for a moment.
Yeah, that's it. Over 7,000 times in just 1 year, in just one industry, and for just one single type of violation. A company didn't follow a basic rule to keep its workers from falling. And let me tell you, falls are consistently one of the biggest killers on job sites. So this number, it tells us something really important. There is a massive gap between the rules we write down on paper and what's actually happening out there in the real world.
And that right there, that's the big question for us today. If we have all these laws and all these regulations, why are we still seeing thousands of violations and injuries that were totally preventable? To figure that out, we first have to understand what the rules actually look like.
So the very first step any society takes to protect its workers is to create a legal framework. You got to build the foundation, right? And for a really great example, we can actually look at Colombia's system, which does a fantastic job of laying out the entire architecture of how you protect people at work.
At the very top, they have this concept, the General System of Labor Risks. Now, this isn't just one law. Think of it as the entire ecosystem. It's the government agencies, the private insurance companies, all the company procedures, everything, all designed with one single goal: to prevent, protect, and care for workers. It really is the master blueprint.
And inside that big system, things get really specific, like what exactly counts as a work accident. Well, the legal definition is pretty broad. It's any sudden event, a slip, a machine breaking, a chemical splash, that happens because of your job and causes you harm. And check this out, that harm isn't just a physical injury. They specifically include psychiatric disturbances too.
But what about the dangers that aren't sudden, the ones that creep up on you? The law has that covered too, with what's called an occupational disease. This is for harm that develops over a long time, like lung disease from breathing in dust for years, or hearing loss from being around loud noise all day. The key thing here is that the danger is built right into the work environment itself.
Okay, so these legal terms might seem a little abstract, but they reflect incredibly real dangers that people face every single day, everywhere. I mean, just look at this list of the most common violations that OSHA finds in the US. For construction, what do you see? Fall protection, ladders, scaffolding. For general industry, things like failing to communicate hazards, not guarding machines. These aren't some rare, exotic dangers. This is the absolute basic stuff. And it just shows you that even with crystal clear rules, the same fundamental mistakes are being made over and over and over again.
So, what happens when a rule gets broken and someone gets hurt? Well, any good system of rules has to have a process for when things go sideways. It's kind of like a detective story, but the ultimate goal is totally different.
And this right here is a huge fundamental shift in thinking. The best regulations, like Colombia's, make this clear. A good investigation isn't about finding a scapegoat or pointing fingers. The real goal is to ask, why did our system fail us? And more importantly, how do we fix that system so this never ever happens again?
And the process for doing this is really systematic. First, you get the right team together. Then, you gather the facts. No opinions, no hearsay, just what actually happened. From there, you dig deeper. You look past the obvious immediate cause, like, okay, the machine wasn't guarded, to find the root cause. Why wasn't it guarded? Maybe the maintenance procedures are bad. And then, the last and most critical step, you have to create a real, actionable plan to fix those root problems for good.
So who's on this team? Well, it's not just one person. It's got to be a mix of different perspectives. You have the supervisor, who knows the job inside and out. You have someone from the safety committee who represents the workers. You've got the official safety manager. And for the really serious incidents, you bring in a licensed professional from the outside. The whole idea is to get a complete 360-degree view of what went wrong.
Okay, so we have rules and we have a process for when those rules fail. But is that it? Is that really enough? I mean, is constantly reacting to failures the best we can possibly do? This is where we have to start looking for something deeper, something way more proactive.
This quote, it just hits the nail on the head. You can follow every single rule in the book, you can be best in class at compliance, and people can still get hurt. How is that possible? Well, it's because the rules just set the absolute minimum bar. Real, lasting safety has to be built in that space above the bare minimum.
This really breaks it down into two completely different worlds, two different mindsets. The compliance mindset is all about avoiding trouble. The thinking is, what's the least I have to do to not get fined? In that world, safety is a priority. But you know what? Priorities can change when a deadline gets tight. The culture mindset is totally different. It's driven by a genuine belief that every single person deserves to go home safe. And in that world, safety isn't a priority, it's a core value. And values, they don't change.
So, if just checking boxes for compliance isn't the final answer, then what is? It's about building something much deeper, something way more powerful, a true safety culture.
A real safety culture isn't a program you buy or a poster you hang on the wall. It's a set of shared beliefs that you can actually see in people's actions. And it has some really clear hallmarks. It absolutely has to start at the top. If the CEO doesn't live and breathe it, it's doomed. It has to be everyone's job, not just the safety guys. Supervisors are maybe the most critical link. They're the ones modeling what's okay and what's not every single day. And it's not about punishing people, it's about catching people doing the right thing and celebrating it.
You know, this is really what it all boils down to. Compliance is about what you do when the inspector shows up. Culture is about what you do when nobody is watching. It's about that choice you make when you're all alone, you're behind schedule, and you know you could cut a corner to save some time. That single choice, that's what defines the real culture.
And that's the question I really want to leave you with. Think about your own workplace, your own team, your own daily actions. When no one else is looking, what choices do you make? Because in that quiet moment, you're not just following a rule, you're either building or breaking a culture. Thanks for watching.